Hello, my name is Abhinav Roy. I am a second year undergrad from Netaji Subhas Engineering College, and I'm currently pursuing computer science and engineering. So, okay, Kushagra Singh has written these songs makes me fall asleep. I think you should sleep also because I find you awake all the time studying. So, moving back. So, so my level of expertise is web development, and I started this field when at the start of this year when the corona pandemic struck. So I will not tell I'm an expert in this, but I'm pretty sure that I can make up to some things. So with me is Kushagra Singh. He's also my batchmate, so he will introduce himself. Kushagra Singh is there with me. He will introduce himself.
Hello, I'm
Kushagra
Prashant.
Singh
I'm Prashant
is
Singh,
there with.
and
He will
as
introduce himself.
I'm Prashant Singh, and as Abhinav mentioned, I'm his batchmate. Um, I'm also an undergrad student from second year, and from the college Netaji Subhas Engineering College. And my level of expertise is my level of expertise is machine learning. I will not be taking any sessions today, as Abhinav will be showing some roadmap of web development and some stuff that one need when he will start his journey on web development. So later on, after this week or the week after that, I will be taking some sessions on Python or in the machine learning, the stuff and the tech that will be needed uh, to start uh, to start your journey on Python or web development, anything. Um, so yeah, let's today get on the journey of web development. After that, we will surely see some machine learning stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, thank you, Kushagra Singh. We have decided to stream live 2 days or 3 days a week. Like one day I'll stream and one day Kushagra Singh will stream. So let's start. So this is the roadmap of web development. Basically, web development has two parts. Actually, three parts. But essentially, we all know that it is of two parts, like front end and back end. But the main necessary important stuffs are many. There are many important stuffs like the APIs, the SHS, the HTTPs, and many concepts are there. So these concepts have to be learned and should be learned before moving to the front end or back end. And let's list some of these important stuffs. So this is the web dev starter pack. Like we have seen those memes, starter pack memes. So this is a web dev starter pack memes. Like so you should start learning about Git and GitHub. So many of us get confused. Even I got confused. Like the difference between the Git and GitHub. GitHub is basically a platform. It is a version control environment where you can store your codes or any source codes in GitHub. So basically, not only you, but many big organizations use GitHub to store their codes and use them as open source so that other contributors from all around the world can contribute to the projects. And Git is a platform. Git is a language where you can communicate with your local repository to your remote repository, and you have to think about how can you relate the local to the remote, and how can you deploy the your code to the remote repository, and all about that. So the second is you're getting familiar with the OS. Like OS, you can use Linux or Windows or that expensive one or anything. So in Linux, you have the bash commands like Ubuntu in Ubuntu, and in Windows, you have the command prompt. So in this, you can learn the basic things like to get inside a file, to cd into a file, to ls the or list the files that are present there, to make directory like mkdir, to uh, touch a file, that is to create a file using touch, to delete a file, that is rm, all those things. And after these you have to start learning about the essentials. This is very important. Many of us skip this part, but we have to start because we are fascinated by the fact that we will learn html, css, javascript and all those, but we have to learn these essentials like the rest api, the http calls that you are making to the server, and many other things like shs and many other things. So let me give you a brief idea about REST API. So REST API is an acronym for Representational State Transfer. It has six guiding principles. So let me state you a fact that it may surprise you, but REST API and HTTP APIs are different. Many of us get confused that the HTTP APIs like the get, post, put, delete, all post, and we think that the REST API and the HTTP APIs are same because in REST API also we use these methods. But actually, the REST API has six guiding principles, and if these principles are followed, then we say it as a okay. Excuse me, we have an error here. Okay, sorry for the wait. There was a technical issue. Okay, we are back. So the REST APIs have six guiding principles, with which, if they follow, they will called as REST. Otherwise, we will not call them as HTTP APIs. So the six are the client server. They are stateless or not. They are cacheable. That is, the response is cacheable. It is a uniform interface, and that it is layered system. We'll talk about this in the later streams, because today it is only a roadmap and we're not going deep about all these things. But yes, and so let's move forward. Front end. So what is front end? Front end is the part that you see on your web pages. The user sees when he opens a website, he sees the part that the user sees is called the front end. So there are many web pages that are dynamic or static. Static web pages do not use anything from the DB, that is database, and they are displayed from the that is, it is coded and the front end is shown. But the dynamic pages derive some things like the data or the response or from the API when you hit it from the like REST API or HTTP API. So the response that comes is displayed in the front end, and then we see it. So the front end is started using HTML and CSS. Uh, this takes less time in for study, but is very important to start your web development journey. And HTML can be learned in HTML CSS. In fact, can be learned in kind of in one week, and it is very easy. You can learn it from many sources like W3 sources or the W3 sources or any other websites. So let's move forward to JavaScript. JavaScript and Java are different. There's a famous joke that the difference between Java and JavaScript is like the difference between car and carpet. So you have to understand that it is different. JavaScript is a scripting language, like many other scripting languages, like Python. Python is also a scripting language. So and then you can use this vanilla JS challenge. This vanilla JS challenge is a 30 days challenge, which is very interesting, and I will give you the link in the description. Uh, there are 30 videos or 30 tutorials, and at the same time, these 30 tutorials show 30 projects, and you can build these projects and learn in a span of 30 days. So it's very interesting. Next, we'll move forward to the front end frameworks. So you have learned HTML, you have learned CSS, you have learned JavaScript, the basics of JavaScript. Now, the front end frameworks are very important for the client's experience. So, the front end frameworks include Angular, React, and Vue.js. Now Vue is not famous among the developers in today's world. It is not used more, but the Angular and React are booming in today's day and day life. So personally, I use Angular. Many of my friends, many of my friends use React, but I prefer Angular as it is backed by Google and React is backed by Facebook. So so the Angular. Let's start talking about Angular because I use Angular. Sorry. So Angular uses TypeScript, and in TypeScript is a superset language of JavaScript. Like first there was TypeScript, and it is from that it is derived JavaScript. And in there you can create single page applications. What are single page applications? Single page applications are those applications in which there is no reloading of the page when you move to next pages or next servers. So there is no reloading of the page, and so it is very so the user experience is highly boomed by this Angular or React also. So And what are the projects you can do? There are many projects you can do about this. Like you can find this Angular courses on Udemy also, on Udemy or many other websites. So you can learn from there. Okay, the backend. So what is backend? Backend is actually the server side, the working that is done. That is, suppose you are filling a form. The form, the input fields are filled, and then you submit the form. When you submit the form, these input fields, the parameters or the placeholders are sent to a server, and this server does the work, like doing anything, submitting it to a database or retrieving something from the database, and then it sends back to the front end. So you see the front end, but these backend things that are doing are done by the backend, and which is not shown to us, and which is very critical. Like suppose you are making a recipe app. So the recipe app has a few recipes, and you want to fetch the recipes, like for example, mutton biryani. So this you have to, if you enter in the form like mutton biryani, and you type search, so it searches the database that if we have a mutton biryani recipe or not, and then it fetches it and it shows you on the front end. So this backend thing is not shown to you, but it happens. And so there are many server-side solutions for this. The server-side solutions include Node.js, PHP, or Python plus Django, or earlier it was used Java and Spring. So in today's world, PHP is not used much. We usually use Node.js. So there is a key difference between PHP and Node.js, and you'll understand why people, developers specifically, use Node.js more than PHP. So the one thing that hit me was that PHP is a runs on synchronous code, and Node.js runs on asynchronous. So what is synchronous and asynchronous? Synchronous codes are those codes which run when it runs, it runs line by line, and then the next line is only run when the current line has executed fully. And us asynchronous is those codes which runs whole of the code, like all the code is run at the same time. So what is the difficulty in this? What is the problem in this? The only problem with synchronous codes running is that if suppose we have a function which returns a value, and this function would take a lot of time. Okay, so when PHP would run it, so when this function will return a value, means when it will execute whole of the function, then only it will move to the next part of the code. And so it is very time consuming. It might take time, and it is very bad for the user experience. So we don't want that. And in Node.js, what happens is that it runs all the codes at the same time. So if suppose there is a function, so the compiler will not wait. Node.js will not wait for the function to return the value. It will move on to the next codes, and by the meantime, if the function returns a value, it will return that also. So in many times we usually need in many of the time we need uh, synchronous codes in Node.js. So we have async and await functions for that. We can use synchronous in that. So therefore, this is a key difference between Node.js and PHP. And and then we move on to databases. So what is database? Database is actually when you suppose you display something on the front end. Okay, you display something on the front end, but when you refresh the page or come back to the same page after some time, this this thing that you have created is removed from the front end, because it was not stored somewhere. It is not a cache. It was a cacheable thing that was displaying to you for some time, but once you refresh the page or close the tab and move again come, so mm, this thing, the thing that you have created is gone. So for that we use databases. There are many databases. So what is database basically? So database is a place where you store the data or any information which can be retrieved or fetched at any time using API calls or anything else like that. So uh, there are basically two types of databases: NoSQL and SQL. So there's a key difference. Let me tell you what is NoSQL and SQL first. NoSQL is no NoSQL is non-relational data structure, and SQL is a relational data structure. So the main difference between them is that the non-relational data structure is done in a JSON format. The data stores in a JSON format. Like non-relational is the MongoDB. MongoDB is a non-relational database. And SQL is they store the data in a table format. That is, rows and columns, and they will have a row with a heading like your name or password, and the columns would include the name and the password respectively. So we'll study about that in the later streams. Now let's move on. So you have made the project. You have done the full stack, the mean stack. Okay, let's start. Let's talk about the mean stack and merge stack. So what is mean stack? Mean stack is Mongo, E for Express, A for Angular, and N for Node.js. So we have studied about Mongo. We know about Node.js. We know about Angular. What is Express? Express is actually a framework for Node.js to run. It is not needed. You can use Node.js also, the JavaScript codes in the Node.js. But to ease our coding and to code faster, we use Express. Express lets us code faster because many of the codes written by Express are written by Express, and we just have to import them. We just have to write them. So Express helps us in those ways. And also we have uh, MERN stack, MERN. So MERN is the same as mean, only the difference is that it is Angular and R for here React. So now, and another, let me tell you one more point. Why should we use Node.js? Because it maintains a programming uniformity. Why? Because Node.js uses JavaScript, and we already have studied JavaScript in our front end part. So, while moving to the backend, we don't face any programming barrier because we already know the basic language for JavaScript. But in PHP, we use a different language stack. So it might in PHP use a different stack only, which is called LAMP. Here it is called Linux and MySQL, using MySQL and Linux. So you might face difficulties, but many developers also for in today's world also use PHP. We should not tell like that. So let's move on. Like hosting. So you have made a project you have done front end, you have done back end, you have made a mean or one stack project. So where to host? So where to host? I personally like to host my stuff or projects in Heroku. So Heroku uses a CLI, that is command line interface. So this CLI Heroku uses and is very easy to use. Is very easy to understand and easy to get the commands. They are very easy. You can read it on the documentation page of Heroku. And moving on, we can also host them on a triple zero web host. Triple zero web host is a site which is free. I'm always saying it's free. The triple zero web host or Heroku, they are free. So you can upload your files on triple zero web host server, and then the index page will run on the on your server. And you can also use GitHub pages. What are GitHub pages? If you Usually GitHub pages are used for portfolios. When you create a portfolio, we store it in the GitHub pages. We create a repository with our with a name your username.github.io, and it does our part. It hosts it's hosts for the portfolio sites. So thank you for listening to me. In As we have decided this week, Kushagra Singh. This week I've done my session, so there will be another video live stream of Kushagra Singh. He'll be speaking on the Python and its basics and how to start your ML journey. So thank you and for your patience and keep learning.